Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Paola and this is the book Postscript Tag. This tag was originally created in 2018. It is inspired by the mid-year book Freakout tag, and it's just a little moment to touch base and look back on what you accomplished reading-wise, bookish-wise in the last year. I also saw my friend Priscilla do this back in 2021. So I will leave a link to both her video and the original video in the description down below if you want to check it out. And without any further ado, let's jump into the questions. Question number 1. What is the longest book that you read this year? And what is the book that took you the longest time to finish? For me, the book is the same in both instances. I read The Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco in the fall. It is 600 and something pages, and it is a murder mystery featuring monks. It's basically like Sherlock Holmes and Watson dynamic, but with monks. This was a buddy read for me. I read it with my friend Lula, who is also an author. Her name is Luangi Beaumontes. She's written 2 books. Well, she's written more books, but she's about to publish her second book called Take It to Your Grave. And her debut book is called Till the Last Beat of Your Heart, which I loved. It is necromancy, Afro-Latinx, set in Massachusetts, really like creepy, spooky vibes. I loved it so much. Shout out to Lula and shout out to this book. It was so immersive. It's so descriptive. It describes every little thing about the church that it takes place in. The library was absolutely my favorite thing that this book had going for it. All of the monks are very distinct in their personalities and the way that they go about this murder mystery, being suspects, trying to, defend themselves, say their alibis, all of that stuff. Very distinct, really fun book. I was not expecting to be as engrossed in it as I was. It was fantastic. 10 out of 10, 100% recommend. Question number 2. What is a book that you read that was out of your comfort zone? It was absolutely, once again, The Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco. It is murder mystery, which is not something I typically reach out to in books. I also don't read as much historical fiction as I would like to. I do love historical fiction. It's just not something that I find myself constantly gravitating towards. This was a very welcome change in my reading palette. 100% shout out to Lula for suggesting that I read this book with her. Question number 3. How many books did you reread? I read a total of 13 and I'm gonna rank them. Okay, I'm gonna go into the next question because it is the favorite reread question, and I'm gonna talk about my top 3. Question number 5, a book you read for the first time that you look forward to rereading in the future. I have 3 books for this. One of them is Leaving the Station by Jake Maya Arlo. This is YA contemporary and it's about Zoe, who goes on a cross-country train trip from New York back home to Portland or Seattle. It's about queerness, religion, what makes us feel like we belong. It's about friendships. And it's just so introspective and good. It's just so good. I loved it so much, and experiencing it along with Jake as they were doing their read along with their newsletter was so much fun and so fulfilling as a reader. Highly recommend this one. Number 2 is Jazz Hammonds. This is YA contemporary. It is quite hard-hitting. It's about Blake, who is developing alcoholism, or maybe she was already an alcoholic at the beginning of the novel. I don't know. I'll let you decide once you read it. But it's about Blake. It's set during the summer between high school and college. And she really wants to make a sort of good impression on the Serena Society, which is a network that promises these young women to have lifelong connections to powerful and very inspiring and trailblazing women of color. However, hazing and the pledging intensifies, and so does Blake's drinking, and so it's about that. This book was so good. It's a book that I would want to reread every year, but I think it's a little too much for me. It feels a little too close to home for me to revisit it every year. But it's truly one of the best books that I have read in a really long time. If you love messy queer characters, if you want to read more about addiction, definitely this should be the book that you check out. And another book that I read for the first time in 2025 that I would love to revisit many years to come as well is 24 Seconds From Now by Jason Reynolds. This is a sort of like stream of consciousness novel, and it's about Neon and his relationship with Arya. It all kicks off when he sort of goes and hides himself in the bathroom because he and Arya made the decision to have sex for the first time. And so it goes from like 24 seconds ago, Arya and I were about to have sex for the first time. 24 hours ago, this happened. 24 months ago, 24 hours ago, 24 weeks, 24, sort of like that. It was so good. Jason Reynolds narrates this one as well. I will never get enough of him. It's so good. I hate that I don't know how to talk about books or just in general about things that I love in a coherent and like explanation way. I just have to say that I fucking love this book, and I hope you trust me enough to check it out because it's truly so good. Question number 6. What is your favorite single short story or novella that you read? Treasure by Rebecca Weatherspoon. Rediscovering it, rereading it was so fun. I cannot recommend this enough. If you want to read a sort of quick sapphic romance, this is definitely the book that you should be checking out. Question number 7. Mass Appeal, a book you liked and would recommend to a wide variety of readers. I want to say Only for the Holidays by Abiola Bello. This is YA contemporary romance set during Christmas time. It follows a big city girl and a small town boy. It's fake dating, it's Christmas. I feel like this one has quite the mass appeal. I would love to see this one turned into a movie as well. I don't know, like it just felt very authentic, very teen. I don't know what I mean by that. I just mean like the voice was very authentic. It felt very real to me. The plot was also really fun. It's quite lighthearted. And so I think that a lot of people would find it really enjoyable. Question number 8, Specialized Appeal, a book you liked but would be hesitant to recommend to just anyone. I already talked a little bit about this book. I love this book so much, but I don't think enough people, or I don't think a lot of people will get it, and it would like really annoy me to see it read the way people read books about messy characters. That book is Thirsty by Jazz Hammonds. And the reason why I say I don't know that I would recommend it to just anyone is because, well, Blake is not only queer, she's also Black, and she's also an alcoholic. And typically people don't have a lot of empathy or even sympathy for characters like this. I mean, people can barely handle Rue in Euphoria. And I don't know, it's just like the way people go about talking about addiction and characters who are addicts, even recovering addicts, is a bit much. Like, it's really sad at best, I want to say, and at worst, it's just really disgusting and unempathetic. Especially if the character is a woman, especially if the character is Black, especially if the character is a teen girl. My goodness. So I would recommend this to a very small amount of people, and even then I wouldn't trust them to like understand the book as it's meant to be understood. And finally, question number 9, reflect on your year as a bookish creator. Goals met, good/bad memories, favorite videos you made, etc. Okay, this is a question that I was dreading because I didn't do much, or as much as I would have wanted to. So it started off strong. I really committed to my 12 Days of Christmas series on YouTube, and on my blog I did the reading wrapped, where I talked a little bit about the reading projects that I took on. The 12 Days of Christmas videos were not as well structured as I would have wanted them to be. I kind of leaned too heavily on what I did for 2022 because in 2023 I didn't really get to do the whole 12 days of Bookmas, but I really wanted to do 12 videos, and so the way that I went about it was really like narrow and not really smart in terms of what would have worked for the algorithm better. On Patreon, I mostly kept up with my newsletter, which I like to call the Gazette. I will leave a link to my Patreon down below if you want to check it out. Patreon.com/Paola M. Guerrero. I know that's a lot, so I will leave a link to the thing in the description below. It is a bi-weekly newsletter. I did 18 out of the 26 that I was meant to be doing. I was also keeping up with my reading journal, which I did up until June. On my blog, there are the June wrapped posts. If you want to check that out, I will leave a link in the description for that as well. And I was also posting my videos one day or two before I posted them on YouTube. I was really excited about my Bad Influencer series that I was posting on both my Patreon and my YouTube. And then my dog passed away, and that... I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry. And that just put like a really big stop to anything I was doing creatively. So I guess I shouldn't be super hard on myself, but I still like look at these goals and I'm like, God, when will I ever complete a challenge? So in the beginning of 2025, I posted a video for my goals. It was really nicely structured. So that would have really worked out well if I had stuck to any of my goals. But it also worked out well for me to see how I did. So starting with the Buzzwordathon. So Buzzwordathon was the perfect reading challenge to fill up with my indie titles. I wanted to read self-published works or books that had been published by indie presses. I had the whole thing planned, as you can see here. But in March, I had to read a ton of graphic novels, and I also had a book tour stop due. So I gave up on Buzzwordathon in March, and then I just decided to give up on it altogether. I'm really not proud of that one. The good news is that for the 3 months that I stuck to the challenge, the 3 books were really, really good. Or 4 books, sorry. I forget that I got the 1 book for the title. Anyway, moving on to my rereads, I had a list of more than 30 books. Here are only 30 that I wanted to include just because I didn't want to do like multiple slides for all my reading challenges. You can check that out in my 2025 reading goals if you're interested. So here we have a narrowed down list of quote unquote only 30 books. And I knew I wasn't going to be rereading all of them, but from this list, I managed to read 9 of them. I feel like if I'd read a 10th book, it would have been really satisfying, but oh well. I also reread these books that I hadn't planned on rereading. They weren't on my list except for maybe Our Way Back to Always. For my current e-arcs, I wanted to focus on the ones that affected my NetGalley ratio. I had more than 30 titles that I added to with time, so now I'm at like 40, maybe 50 books. We're not going to talk about that. This is the original list from January 2025, and out of these books, I read a total of 10, so I'm just going to be happy about that. My nonfiction titles include all of these 26 books. I have a feeling that I have more of them, but these were the ones that I really, really wanted to prioritize given the circumstances around the world, plus the fun one about the mafia. I read 0 of them. So there you go. I have the others category that included 2 of my favorite authors, indie e-arcs, sci-fi and fantasy titles, as well as indigenous titles. So here we go. For the authors challenge, I really wanted to read my Viano Nyama titles and my Anna Marie McLemore titles. I have 6 titles from each of these authors, and I wanted to alternate, so read 1 Viano Nyama, 1 Anna Marie McLemore, but I only managed to read Portal to Pleasure by Viano Nyama in January and Lake Lore in October. Next up, we have my indie e-arcs and the sci-fi and fantasy books that I wanted to read. So for the indie e-arcs, this is really embarrassing because I only read 2 of these books and only 1 of them was actually indie. And for the sci-fi and fantasy categories, I really wanted to read these 3 titles. I don't know what happened. I just didn't. I guess giving up on Buzzwordathon was the domino effect. The first domino of me giving up on my reading plans altogether. Oh well. Last but certainly not least, this is probably most definitely my most embarrassing stat. For my indigenous titles, I did a whole graphic. It kind of looks like this one, but the books are separated into categories. So like coming of age, horror, mystery, thriller, nonfiction, etc., etc. I don't know. I don't even know what happened. The second half of 2025 is such a blur. I only managed to read Light in Gaza during the Read Palestine week in December. Very embarrassing stuff. I'm so sorry to myself and to you that you're reading these very unsatisfying goals unmet section of the video. Alrighty, so that is it for today's video. I have been talking for a really long time. Wish me luck on the editing process. And yeah, if you haven't already and you'd like to, go ahead and hit subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!